Donald Trump signs more than a dozen decrees in the week since his inauguration, including Decree on US World Domination, Decree on the State of Emergency on the border with Mexico, or withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement. And he doesn't stop there, as more are in the pipeline. Colombia didn't accept Trump's deported immigrants, but bowed to the pressure of Trump's powerful sanctions and finally agreed to all the US president's demands. The US stock market is sinking. China has made its own GPT chat DeepSeek, which is already #1 in the US and the world in number of downloads. Shortly after being sworn in as president, Donald Trump signed dozens of executive orders and documents that have already led to major changes, not only in the United States. For example, he declared a state of emergency on the border with Mexico and abolished birthright citizenship, which recognizes that people born on US territory are automatically US citizens. This is intended to limit the flow of immigrants, whom Trump is already sending back to South American countries, but we'll come back to that. A decree was also signed on US dominance in artificial intelligence and removing barriers to the development of AI and cryptocurrencies. As a result, the crypto market has been buzzing with excitement. In his first 24 hours in office alone, Donald Trump signed 42 executive orders. By comparison, Joe Biden signed 9 of them. What's more, with one signature, he also revoked 78 of Joe Biden's previous decrees.
Why don't you say what I'm signing?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
Literally moments later, Trump signed a full and unconditional pardon for Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the controversial Silk Road website. Ulbricht was serving a life sentence for facilitating illegal trafficking, including drugs, on the dark web. The creator himself has spent 11 years in prison. Trump supported Ulbricht's case, joining libertarians who argued that the conviction was an example of government abuse of power. Trump said that it was the decision of the same scum who wanted to make a criminal out of him. So we can assume that it is a desire for revenge against the previous system.
Last night, Donald Trump granted me a full pardon. I was doing life without parole, and I was locked up for more than 11 years. But he let me out. I'm a free man now. So let it be known that Donald Trump is a man of his word.
So is the decree to have only 2 genders and to ban male prisoners from women's facilities. The list of subsequent decrees is long, but the most recent include the construction of a next-generation missile shield to be called Iron Dome. He has also decided to ban transgender people from military service and to reinstate soldiers who object to the COVID-19 vaccine. Moreover, the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has halted funding for all aid programs implemented in Ukraine. Many of these decisions are being challenged in the US courts, so they haven't all come into effect yet, but the Republicans have a majority on the Supreme Court, so there are many signs that the US is undergoing new historic changes. The first 88 Brazilian citizens have been deported after US President Donald Trump returned to power. The illegal immigrants were transported from the US to Brazil on a military plane. The Brazilian Justice Ministry and local media reported that the immigrants were transported in poor conditions, without air conditioning, and in handcuffs.
These people don't like us. They treat us like dogs. Worse, even dogs are treated better than us. We were handcuffed to our wrists, waist, and legs, and to go to the toilet we had to walk this way. There was no water on the plane. They struggled to give us water, mineral water, and food. It was very hot, really very hot, and there were children on the plane. We wanted to go to the toilet and they wouldn't let us.
However, Brazilians report that similar deportations took place during Joe Biden's presidency, yet Trump is expected to significantly increase deportations, with plans to send back more than 10 million people. Trump also sent the first deportation plane to Colombia, but the Colombian authorities initially refused to accept two military C-130 planes carrying around 80 migrants deported from the US. Colombia has repeatedly accepted deportation flights from the US in the past, but this time, President Gustavo Petro has protested the use of military aircraft and the treatment of migrants like criminals with their hands and feet shackled. However, Trump has threatened the Colombian authorities with sanctions that would not only prevent their representatives from entering the United States, but also make it much more difficult for them to do business. As if that weren't enough, Trump also wrote that there would be a 25% tariff on all goods imported from Colombia, expected to rise to 50% within a week, a travel ban on unspecified Colombian government officials, and visa sanctions on all party, family, and government supporters. The Colombian authorities succumbed to the pressure of potentially huge losses. One plane took 110 Colombians from San Diego, California, while 91 were on board the second plane from El Paso, Texas. The Colombian president declared victory, however, because the migrants were not handcuffed. And this is what he wrote on Platform X. They are Colombians, free and with dignity, in their country that loves them. A migrant is not a criminal, but a human being who wants to work, develop, and live his life.
The Colombian government reports that we have broken the deadlock in talks with the US government. We will continue to receive Colombians, men and women, who have returned as deportees, guaranteeing them decent conditions as citizens with rights. The Colombian government, led by President Gustavo Petro, has a suitable aircraft to facilitate the return of Colombian citizens who were due to arrive in the country today on deportation flights.
The local NBC affiliate reported that there are 10 teams operating in Chicago, each with about 10 federal agents. The arrests are expected to target people with criminal records, and so far the operation is going very smoothly. On Monday alone, the US federal authorities arrested 1,179 people in an operation to apprehend illegal immigrants. This is an absolute record so far.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table. Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally, who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge, should be.
There are already states that are successfully pushing the Trump administration's controversial idea. For example, Mississippi District Attorney Matthew Barton has backed a bill that would allow bounty hunters to be paid $1,000 each for helping to deport illegal immigrants. The bill was proposed by a local Republican politician. An immigrant hunter can act on behalf of the services, but has the right to intervene on his own, or report the case to a special hotline.
It will be interesting to see how many people decide to make such a move, but judging by public opinion, it will be more than one.
If you're calling in on the tip line, presumably you have some worthwhile information that could be corroborated through an investigation about someone being here illegally. Now, some people may have information, some people not, and so surely we will receive plenty of tips that are not worthwhile and maybe not very substantive, but on the inverse, I'm certain that many worthwhile tips would come through. And that's the same as we have on any of our cases.
Thursday, 23rd of January. That's when one of the biggest global stock market crashes in recent times began. China's AI model, whose efficiency clearly beats the US OpenAI with its ChatGPT, the mighty Nvidia, responsible for key AI graphics cards, had lost almost 20% of its value by 27th January. $500 billion have been wiped out. The story is similar for other US giants such as Intel, Broadcom, AMD, Microsoft, Amazon, and Palantir, the emergence of strong Chinese competition for the Americans has shaken the stability of the market, which could have long-term consequences. But what exactly is the Chinese ChatGPT or DeepSeek? It has caused concern among investors because, according to its creators, it was built at a fraction of the cost of Silicon Valley. While US companies spend billions of dollars, DeepSeek was developed for a fraction of that, or $6 million. The artificial intelligence model that powers it, called R1, has around 670 billion parameters, making it the largest open source language model to date. More powerful than OpenAI's O1 model, it also uses less memory and energy. So the era of hurricane optimism associated with artificial intelligence may be over, which is why investors reacted so nervously to the situation.
Choć na ten moment ciężko mówić jeszcze o załamaniu się rynku.
As Morgan Housel describes in his book, The Psychology of Money, such isolated events can herald major changes in the markets.
Today and over the last couple of days, I've been reading about China and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good because you don't have to spend as much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So I really think if it's fact and if it's true, and nobody really knows if it is, but I view that as a positive because you'll be doing that too. So you won't be spending as much and you'll get the same result, hopefully. The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me.
DeepSeek may be such a mousetrap in the artificial intelligence narrative. The hype around artificial intelligence has caused a huge influx of capital into the stock market over the past 18 months, taking valuations to new heights. All this after Trump's announcement of a multi-billion-dollar investment in artificial intelligence momentarily boosted the market, which was vindicated moments later by the Chinese. There's a lot going on in the US economy at the moment, especially as the current administration changes old habits and partners. US President Donald Trump said on Saturday that his first foreign trip could be to Saudi Arabia, despite the fact that US presidents have traditionally visited the UK after taking office. Donald Trump, as you know from my previous material, is currently sharpening his teeth on Greenland to the extent that he even had a telephone conversation with the Danish Prime Minister. But the final conversation was not in a pleasant tone, and the president is said to have received feedback that Europe will not be withdrawing from Greenland. In fact, there is to be an increase in arms spending on the island. On top of that, there are claims that Canada could find itself in the European Union. So we are entering a unique era in which Europe will no longer accept the American vision of hegemony. That's all the news from America for today. There's so much going on there that I'm gonna start gathering information about the United States on a regular basis. So don't forget to stay subscribed and ring the bell to stay up to date. Stay tuned. Cheers.